Hello, this is George, and I wanted to switch gears. I just published my latest book on easy language, Easing into Easy Language, the Foundation Edition. But I wanted to get back to my Python Training Simula 18 software, and I wanted to introduce the latest version, which has been refactored, which means basically simplified. The interface has been. And I want to also show the latest version of PyScripter. That's my favorite combination when I'm testing with my training Simula, is to use PyScripter IDE. And I think for a small donation you can get the IDE. Not only does it have a debugger, which is phenomenal, it also has a tremendous editor that basically is on the same level or pretty close to it as the Sublime editor, which I like as well. I use both. But I wanted to show you something real quick, a training system. I call it the TF Ultimate. The only reason I call it the Ultimate is because it incorporates multiple exits for each entry, and it also calls the ADX function, or ADX indicator, I shouldn't say function, the ADX indicator, which is in Training Simula 18, it's a class-based indicator. Don't let the word class scare you. Most of my indicators are function-based, so they're very similar to easy language. You just call the function Bollinger Band or Keltner channel. But some of the indicators, such as RSI, stochastic, MACD, that require the prior values to calculate the current value, I encapsulated that into a class. But it only requires just a little bit more code to access that information. So I'm going to go over this version of my Training Simula 18 and this PyScripter, and this version is going to be available in an updated edition of TrendFollowing Systems, a DIY, batteries included. So let's get into some of the features of the latest Training Simula 18 and the latest PyScripter. Okay, before you see a bunch of code, right? There's a lot of code there. This is your portal into Training Simula 18. As you can tell, there's 289 or probably 300 lines of code, or pretty close to it. Of all those 300 lines of code, you only need to worry about probably 50 to 60 perhaps. So what I've done, and with PyScripter, with its code collapsing capabilities, and most really sophisticated editors have code collapsing or code folding. I've gone in there and I've created what I call regions, and I can collapse regions. And the regions I collapse are the ones you can ignore. So I'm going to go in here, and what are we looking at? We're looking at 289 lines of code. I'm going to collapse the regions for you. The regions you don't need to concern yourself with. So I'm going to fold regions. What I did is I right-clicked, went to code folding, fold regions. Okay, now let's look at the code now. How many lines are they? Still 289 lines of code, but look how short that is. Okay, let's look at it one more time. I'm going to unfold regions, and I'm going to say, I'm going to page down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Basically 9 pages of code. Now I'm going to fold the regions. Okay, we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4. So we cut the code in half, probably more than half. So I just wanted to show that to you. That's pretty cool, and you can, like I said, it makes the code the interface so much cleaner to work with, and it's just distraction free. Okay, let's start with the new version of Training Simula now. Training Simula 18 has at the top of the code, you put all your parameters that you'll need for this specific module or strategy. You have the setup algo parameters section. Basically, I'm telling it I want my start test date, and it's got to be in year, or century, year, month, day. And if you put 8 nines there, it says run through the last data that you have. My ramp up is going to be 100 bars, meaning that one of my indicators might have up to 100 bars of look back before it can generate a value. I'm going to name this TF Ultimate 2_1. That way I can tell it's the new refactored version if I put an _1 under it, behind it as a suffix. Net capital, we don't need for this smaller portfolio, we're going to run like an 8-9 market portfolio. I'm going to just put $100,000. Commission, when I say commission, that incorporates slippage as well. And so we can say $100 for commission and slippage. The good thing about Trading Simula 18 is that you can change that value throughout the run. You could make it actually, if you want commission on a per trade basis, you could make it a function of the range of the day when it gets in. Say it's a wide bar, and so there's a lot of volatility. You could say, okay, I want my commission to be 5% of that bar, or 1% or 2%. It's an adapting number. It's not static. But if you don't want to worry about it, you can make it static, and you do it here. Then I go down here to help users understand that some of the indicators are class-based. I go ahead and do a lot of the legwork for the user. So basically I go in here, and here right now, as we stand, I've got like, I don't know, maybe 20 indicators programmed into Trading Simula 18. I'll be adding more as I get a chance. But these right now are the ones that are class-based indicators. So all you got to do is say which indicator are you going to be using? Are you going to use the ADX, the Laguerre, the parabolic, the stochastic, the the RSI, the MACD, or the dominant cycle? In this case, I'm just going to use use ADX. And in doing that, I'm reserving space for every market in the portfolio for an ADX class. So each market has its own ADX class, its own ADX calculation. And the reason we have to do that is the way the Trading Simula hops from one market to the next on the same bar. So say today is January the 15th, 2021. I don't proceed to the subsequent day until I've gone across the portfolio. So say I got 9 or 10 markets, and the first market is bond. So for that date, I do the bond data first, just for that day, and then I jump to the next market. Say it's a euro currency for that same day, and then say I jump to crude oil. Okay, so by the time I get to the end of the markets in the portfolio for that particular day, I know a lot of information about the portfolio. I know the history of the portfolio. I know the current balance of the portfolio. I know a lot of things about the individual markets in the portfolio, what each market's value or a portion of the profit of the entire portfolio is. So it's kind of a global view or macroscopic view of the entire portfolio on each and every day in the portfolio. That's what makes Trading Simula 18 so powerful, is that you have this macroscopic view. But it also has the microscopic view, just like say Easy Language would have on each individual market. So everything is encapsulated into a macroscopic approach, but at the same time, you can zoom down and look at the individual market and all the specifics involved with that specific market. Okay, that's enough with that. So we're going to use ADX. We're going to scroll down. All this is comments, as you can tell. Here's where the first truly executable code that you need to be concerned with. It's called market list equals get data. Get data is where I call the open file dialog, where you can select individual markets by holding a shift or control, or you can select a .por, that's portfolio file, that gives a list of markets, and then you can test a portfolio of say 8, 9, 10, 30, 40, whatever market you have, whatever the data you have, you can select that. The next section we need to concern ourselves with is the sectors. I think sector analysis is so important to evaluating an algorithm. If it does poorly in one sector and does great in another sector, that doesn't necessarily mean it's not a good algorithm. Okay, it should do okay in all sectors, but there are some sectors that just are really impossible to, I guess, normalize into an algorithm. A sector that's tough to be really good or to produce, normalized returns with the other sectors is, say, the softs like coffee and cotton, cocoa, things like that, or gold and silver. Sometimes that's difficult as well. So sector analysis is important to know where the strengths of your algorithm lies. Okay, so you can use this sector code here if you're using Pinnacle data, and if you're using CSI data, you can go in there and just type CSI. Now, if you have your own database, I show you how to set that up. As long as you have ASCII comma delimited data and you create a master file that has each symbol and symbol name and the big point value, and I think the min move might be in there too, you can use any data that you want as long as you create that data in what I call a master data file, or data master. I think it's data master. Okay, so we're going to define 7 sectors. We're going to move quickly. Current trades list. I like to keep track of all the trades for each market as we go through time. And what this does, since we're using current market here, every time we flip to a different market, the current trades list is filled with the trades up to that point in the test period, or the test of the progress of the test. So we'll say I want to look at the last 5 trades of a certain market. I can do that. Like I said, this has almost an omnipotent or omniscient view of the entire portfolio and each individual market in that portfolio. Again, that's the power of trading Simula 18. Okay, we're going to say position size is equal to 1. We're going to do a 1 contract basis. Of course, we could change that. We could do fixed fractional. We could take a portion of the portfolio equity up to that point in time. We could compound if we wanted to. We could look at the market that's creating the most profit or the least profit. We could eliminate that market from the test. From that point forward, we could then re-add it if it starts looking, like the portfolio is starting to grow a certain amount, and then we might want to add that market back. We have all kinds of different things that we can play with at the portfolio level. So with Trading Simula 18, at the end of the day, you could be like a portfolio manager and look at each individual market and see the performance of each individual market. Or you could look at its ADX reading, or you could look at any indicator that says, hey, this market may not be in the current regime, might be a good word, or condition, or whatever that should be, that would allow it to be in the portfolio. So you could turn it off, turn that market off. You could turn sectors off. Say you're going through it and you're looking at the sector performance, and you're saying, well, man, these softs are killing the portfolio performance. You could turn that sector off and then turn it back on at a later time. Okay, and that's not equity curve feedback. That's just looking at some indicator of the sector or the market and saying, hey, I need to turn this market off. And then later on, you could look at some type of indicator, such as ADX maybe, and say, hey, this market is starting to trend really well. Let's add this market back. Let's add this sector back. You can do that with Trading Simula 18. And of course, I discussed that in the book. Okay, so we're going to do position size equals 1. I'm going to go ahead and I didn't hide all the intricacies of working with indicator classes or those indicators that require classes. So right here is where you have to have a little bit of knowledge of how to access a class via dot notation. So my ADX class calculation function, ADX class, and the function that calculates the ADX returns 3 values, and that's the beauty of Python. Again, you can have a function that returns more than just one return value, and you don't have to worry about passing by reference or anything like that, like you do in easy language when you have a multiple output function. Okay, so I'm gonna set it up so that I will acquire my ADX, my ADXR, and my DMI. And I will not go into detail what those are. If you're familiar with ADX, you'll know what those are. Okay. Now here is all my class-based indicators come in a list. The list is an indicator class for each market. So if you have 10 markets, inside your ADX list, you will have 10 classes. And each class will refer to a particular market in that portfolio. So we have to access the class by the ADX list, whatever the current market is, and then you have to know what function to call. And of course, all this information is provided in the manual, and if you needed to look at the indicators to see what you need, you can just open the indicators. And let's see ADX. Let's find ADX class. There it is. There's the ADX class, and it looks pretty sophisticated. But of course, that's all hidden from you. You don't need to concern yourself with it. But you might need to know what you need to pass it. And with PyScripter, in many cases, if you're not using a list, using the actual class, it will tell you what you need. But sometimes you may not know what you need. So in the calculation of the ADX, I need the high price, the low price, the close price, the look back, the current bar, and the offset. And I'm always offsetting by 1 bar because, and I don't go into detail, I've discussed this where we're sitting when we're doing a test. We're sitting actually on the end of the day, and you can make action. You can take action on today, even though you're sitting on the close of the day, which is what we call future leak. I do allow future leak, which I think is a very powerful tool to make programming of a strategy very easy, but at the same time it's very dangerous. You can cheat. So just know that future leak is built into Trading Simula 18. Just have to be careful with it. So I'm always offsetting by 1 usually. Okay, let's get back to our trading strategy. Okay, I've got my ADX calculated. I want a daily ATR, which this is a function-based indicator, simple moving average. I want to do my true ranges, 20 days. I want to pass the current bar. You'll notice curve bar is included in all my function calls, be it a class function or method, I guess is what the word you'd want to use there if you want to get very technical with it. But you need my curve bar. Okay, so I'm calculating the daily ATR for what's my 20-day ATR? The highest close of the last 40 days. I want the lowest close of the past 40 days. I want a Bollinger Band. I want an upper band, lower band, and I want the average. If I'm doing an 80-day moving average, let's change that to 1 here, just to make it trade more often. And let's see here, I want to do my average of 50 days, close. There's that S average again. You can pass it my close, my open, my high, my low, my true range, whatever you want to pass it, you can pass it. And I also have another function that if you want to pass it, say the average of the RSI, you can embed functions as well. I'm going to define my risk as the upper band of the Bollinger Band minus the mid band times my point value, my big point value. What that does, it converts risk into dollars. Okay, let's go ahead and we're just going to go over the long entry logic and long exit logic. If my ADX is greater than 20, that very rarely happens. So let's drop that down to, let's do 18. And my close D1, that's a new thing to Trading Simula 18. I mentioned it in the prior version, but I didn't use it a lot. D1 means yesterday, D means today, D2 means the day before yesterday, is greater than the highest close the past 40 days, and my close is greater than the upper band, that's the Bollinger Band, and my risk is less than $6,000. Then I'm going to initiate a trade at the open of the next bar. In this case, we don't have next bar. We're going to say today's bar. We're going to buy today's open. The trade name is going to be ultimate buy. My num shares is going to be 1. Position size is 1, as you know. See, right it there, how it highlights it. These are my directives. You do not need to concern yourself with. I'm entering a long position, and unpack dict is just a function that I pack all the important stuff about the trade price, the trade date, all that stuff into a dictionary. Do not need to concern yourself with that. You can learn that if you want to, because it's included in the source code, but you don't need to concern yourself with it. Okay, so we can get long. How do we get out? Well, if MP is equal to 1, MP stands for market position. If I'm equal to 1, you notice in Python, a comparison is an equal sign. An assignment is just 1 equal sign. So we're doing a comparison there. If I am equal to 1, market position, and my close is less than the 80-day average, meaning I've gone down below the mid band, and bar since entry is greater than 1, I've been in the trade more than 1 day, I'm going to go ahead and exit that trade at the open. And here's my exit position function. Okay. The best way to use Trading Simula 18 is to open up one of the templates that's already been established, and you get several templates, and then just make sure you put the long entry, long exit where it belongs. Okay, that's one exit. Second exit is if I'm long and the close is less than the 50-day moving average, and bar since entry is greater than 49. I've been in the trade for 49 days, so I'm going to get out if the close is below the 50-day moving average on the open of the next day or the open of today. Okay. We have 1, 2, 3 exits. The last exit is if I'm long and the close of the day is greater than or equal to entry price. Entry price is a list. In Python, lists, if you want to get the last value of entry of the entry price, you put a -1 there. If you wanted the second entry price, you'd put a -2 there. So here we're just saying, okay, the last time I got long, and I'm going to add $10,000 to it, and I'm going to divide that by big point value, my BPV, to convert that to a price range instead of a dollar value. So I'm going to take price, and I'm going to add a price range to it. If I exceed 10,000 bucks in profit, I'm getting out. Okay, that doesn't happen often, but it does happen. Okay, so let's go ahead and compile this. And what you do is you can say syntax check. Syntax of TF ultimate 2_1 pi is okay. Let's go ahead and run it. Let's run it. Just hit the green go arrow. And with any luck, the Windows file open dialog will pop open. There it is. I've got a portfolio file. And basically all that consists of is, let's see if we can preview it. I don't know why you can't, it doesn't know what pour is. So let's just edit that real quick and I'll show you what's in that file. So that you'll know that it's just a list of ZU, Rev, and this is Pinnacle data. Pinnacle data has some funny symbols. Ever since it went from PIT to electronic session, he renamed some of the symbols. You can look on his website, pinnacledata.com, to get the symbol, the names of the commodities that are represented by those unusual symbol names. Some are pretty easy, like TY is T-note, KC is coffee, of course, SB is sugar. Okay, let's run it. And we're going to do a 10-year history. So first off, what Trading Simula 18 does is it loads up all the data into memory. It can manipulate a lot of things a lot quicker if it's already in memory. You're not having disk access back and forth, back and forth. So we're running through each bar of data through each market. So on bar 1, you go through 9 markets. Bar 2, you go through 9 markets. Bar 3, you go through 9 markets. Bar 4. So each one of these that says working on bar is approximately about a year of data that it's already processed. So let's see what happens here. I don't expect the system to do that well. It's just trend following has been tough. It's had some good runs on the last couple of years. I think with this one using a one period Bollinger Band may not perform as well as it's saying a 2 standard deviation Bollinger Band. But here are the results. Let's look at the sector analysis. Let's see how this thing did. Yeah, didn't do that great. Made 61,000. Huge drawdown. 75% of the equity at the time. The average drawdown was 36,000. The big winner was, it looks like gold was the big winner. The big loser was silver, which when you're doing a trend following system, silver would be your biggest loser. A lot of times gold could be your biggest loser as well, but we've had some nice trends in gold. So if we were to eliminate that silver, you'd add $130,000 back. You'd eliminate that huge drawdown. Okay. And as you know, with Trading Simula 18, you get all kinds of reports associated with the performance. You get the equity matrix, which you can use for other various platforms. It gives you the monthly performance across the board of all the portfolios. I got a Monte Carlo test. I've got a start trade down test. I got a summary test, and I got a trades test. Okay, that's it for this introduction to the latest version of Trading Simula 18 and also the latest version of PyScripter. I hope you've enjoyed it. And like I said, I'll be updating my my book here in the next month or so. Thank you.